Hi guys, welcome back to another short video. I'm Mr. Painter. We're back in the gym today, but today we're going to be focusing on the whiteboard because today is our very first health lesson for this year for first grade. And as you can see, we're going to be talking about the cardiorespiratory system. And in first grade, when we talk about the cardiorespiratory system, one of the first things that I try to explain to the kids is we talk about the heart. Some of this will be review for them from kindergarten because we cover some of the same topics, but in first grade, we get a little more in depth. So obviously, one of the first things I remind them of is your heart is not really shaped like the one that we draw and see on Valentine's Day. Our heart looks a little more like this one. And then I also talk to them about the size of your heart. Now my drawing obviously is much bigger than an actual heart because that would barely even fit inside my body. So I explain to them that your heart is about the size of your fist. Now if you're a 6-year-old, you have a smaller fist than I do because you have a smaller body. If you're a 40-year-old, you have a bigger fist because you have a bigger body. Okay? So I explain to them, it depends on your age, but as you grow, so does your heart. When you are a grown adult and that's about the size you're going to be for the rest of your life, that's also when your heart stops changing size. Okay? So they need to understand that it is a muscle in your body that also grows, just like muscles in your body can grow. Okay? We also talk about how the heart is the most important muscle in your body. They learned that back in kindergarten. We review it here in first grade. So what I'm going to do today is talk to you about the information that I'm going to be teaching here in class. And this is information that I teach them during games, activities. Sometimes we come up to the whiteboard and I teach, and sometimes I have them come up and help draw and write things on the board. For the remote learner version of this, we're going to be doing it like this. I've got the information up here. I'm going to share it with you, and I'm hoping that parents, I'm sure you can expound on a lot of this information with your little ones, but I'm giving you the basics, the standards that we teach in first grade, and then you feel free to take it where you want, but I want to make sure that they're getting the same information that they are here at school. Okay? So, cardio, we talk about when you hear cardio, you should hear heart. You should think about your heart. When you hear respiratory, I want you to think about lungs. Now, of course, there are lots of things that go with the heart. There are lots of other parts of your body that go with lungs, but these are the two main ones that I want them to associate with those words when they hear it. Okay? So over here for first grade, this is the information that we're going to talk a lot about, and I'm going to help fill you in on a little bit. So we've got the heart. One of the things they learn in first grade is that the heart has 4 chambers. So the way I teach it is I review, I say, how big is your heart? And they hold up their fists. They learn that, oh, it's this big. My heart's about this big. And then we go right into how many chambers does your heart have? And they put up the 4 fingers. So they know this is how big it is, this is how many chambers. This is how big, that's how many chambers. This repetitiveness makes it easy for them to remember. Okay? Please use that at home, it's very helpful. 4 chambers, you can talk about why there are 4 chambers and how the blood comes in and out, but that's something we do get into a little bit. I don't go too deep on it. That is not one of our standards we teach. Of course, we always give a little bit more than we have to, and when the kids ask good questions, then of course we're going to go with it. I run with it. That's why you got to be flexible because you don't know what they're going to ask, and more importantly, you don't always know what they know. Somebody probably has a grandma or a grandpa or a mom or a dad who's had a heart condition or a problem, so some of them come with a lot of outside information and they already know some things. So a lot of times these conversations get very interesting very quickly. So with that said, we're moving on. We talk about our heartbeat, and they need to understand that the word heartbeat is just the blood being pumped through the body. Now we do talk about sound, talk about doctors using the stethoscope so they can hear it, and you can actually hear the heart beating. Now, a lot of kids, it's cute, they always say beep, like a horn would beep. For some reason, they get those two confused and they say the heart beep, so maybe you'll get that at home. So we talk about the heartbeat. You can let them know it is an actual sound, and you can practice. Maybe they can hear yours when you're exercising a lot of times. Sometimes you can hear yours when you plug your ears. That's one way to do it. But the most important part is that they understand the heartbeat is just the blood being pumped through your body. Okay? Now, we also talk about how blood can be 2 different colors. We talk about we can have red blood and we can have blue blood. Now, the red blood, we understand, it means it's oxygen rich, or in other words, it has oxygen in it, and it's nice and bright red. Whenever we see blood or we picture blood in our head, most people usually picture red blood. Now, generally, it's because it's oxygen rich blood. For example, if I cut myself and the blood comes out of me, it's exposed to the oxygen, I'm going to see red blood. Okay? So when they think of blood, they think of red. So it's kind of new to them to understand that our blood can turn a bluish color. And so we explain it to them. Red has oxygen, blue has no oxygen. It's that simple. We just explain it that way. So red blood is kind of the good blood, the strong blood. It's the stuff that is ready to help your body. The blue blood is going, oh, I need more stuff. I need more help. I'm going to head back to get more. Okay, and I'll explain that in a little bit. So red and blue, they need to understand there's two different colors of blood. Body changes from exercise. This one's important. They need to understand that most important muscle in their body, their heart, as you exercise your body is going to go through some physical changes. And some of the ones, I wrote them down already. If we were in class, I would have them say them out loud, and I would write them as I said them, but I already put some of the ones that they usually say up here for you at-home learners. So one of them is your body temperature rises. So they need to understand that as I exercise, a lot of times I'm exercising and suddenly that extra sweatshirt I put on, I don't need that anymore. That's coming off because I have too many layers on now. My body temperature is slowly rising. Not a lot, just a little bit, but it doesn't take very much for us to feel it. Okay? They also know that a lot of times when you're exercising, one of the body changes is sweat. And they often think that's a bad thing, like, oh, I gotta stop, I'm sweating. And I have to make them understand that, no, just because you're sweating is not a bad thing at all. That's how your body works. And that's one of the ways your body cools you off. And I have to explain to a lot of the kids that sweating is not bad. Sweating means you're working and your body is feeling it and it knows it. Okay? It's responding to it. And another body change from exercise is increased rate of breathing. And that's a big one that they all notice. They've noticed that they're going after they get some fun, hard exercise in. They realize those changes. Okay? Moving on. Another thing that we have them do then, since now they realize their body goes through changes, what are some exercises that do that? Name some exercises that do increase your heart rate. And a lot of ones that they come up with, I will write them down here, I will ask them. Of course, they tend to pick the ones that we just did, or they pick ones in the warm-up that they know really make them breathe hard. Jumping jacks are a big one. Running, of course, is a great one. If they play sports, a lot of times they name sports. And then when they name the sports, we start talking about, well, do you think there's one that raises it more than another one? Is there one that doesn't raise it very much? So I might ask them, hey, we played a few games this week. In years past, like, hey, if we played a dodgeball game, does that raise your heart rate the same as if we ran 4 laps? And then they have to think about it, and it's really kind of neat to watch them try to figure out what really raises their heart rates, because not everybody is the same, and not every person is the same. Okay. Another thing that they have to do in first grade is be able to find their pulse. Now, when we find our pulse, we generally use the neck, and we talk about going under the chin to the throat, and then we have them scoot about halfway out, and they have to push in. Now, a lot of the mistakes that are made is they just go under here and they stop, or they go too far and they get all the way to the muscle in the neck and you can't feel anything in there. So if you tell them to go down under your chin to your throat, you're going to go by halfway. It's the soft part. When they get to the soft part, tell them to push a little bit. A lot of times they tend to just lay their fingers there and they're kind of afraid to push. They need to push a little bit. Now, when you think they're pretty close, if they're still saying, I can't feel it, I can't feel it, an easy thing for you to do is have them do about 20, 25 jumping jacks, or have them run a lap around your house, or have them do an exercise for probably 20 to 30 seconds. Do something that will increase their heart rate. Once we've increased their heart rate, obviously their heart is beating faster now, it's going to be easier to find, easier to feel, then they will discover it. And it's kind of fun when they discover it because they get all excited and say, oh, I do have a pulse. And you think, yes, you did anyways, but it's funny to us, not so much to them. They don't really get it. So it's really kind of neat to have that aha moment of, oh, I do have a pulse, and they can find it. Now, one more way is with the little ones. Back when I was allowed to help them a little bit more, it's pretty simple to take their 2 fingers, and we always talk about 2 fingers, no thumb, and we use the 2 fingers, 2 because 2 are bigger than 1, and if I only go 1, it's harder to find, but if I get 2 going, I got a little more surface area, easier to find. I can very quickly take a student's fingers and locate their pulse for them if they have trouble. And after once or twice of that, for the ones that have trouble with it, it's pretty easy to get them to find it on their own. And then once we get that, we use it all the time in the gym. When they line up, I have them check their pulse. Right after an exercise, I might have them check their pulse. I might ask them, hey, when you walked in and you checked your pulse, and then when you left, when you checked your pulse, how were they different? Let them compare and let them think about it and talk about it out loud. It's kind of fun. And the last one down here we got, they need to just understand, this one's so simple, but it's one of the questions that it's on our test at the end. It simply says, the heart and the lungs equals what? Or cardiorespiratory system equals what? And they need to remember back to the beginning. It is the heart and it is the lungs. Okay? So these are the two things they need to remember. Now, those are first grade standards. This is all the information that we test on. Of course, like I said, we go a little further when we're in the gym and we talk about things, but these are the basics. So if your child in first grade knows the bulk of this information, you should be good to go. All right? Thank you very much.